Breaking news. Let's get started.
Chelsea's modern identity has been built on a recruitment strategy that is both calculated and controversial, a model rooted in probability rather than prestige. Over the past few seasons, the club has invested extraordinary sums in emerging talent, betting that from a wide pool of young, high-ceiling players, a core of elite performers would eventually emerge. It is a strategy that has reshaped the squad, lowered the average age, and fundamentally altered how Chelsea operate in the transfer market. Yet as the club enters another moment of transition, questions are growing louder about whether this approach alone is enough to deliver the very highest honours. There is no denying that Chelsea have spent heavily. The numbers are staggering, even by Premier League standards. But the focus of that spending has been clear. Instead of pursuing established global superstars in their prime, Chelsea have prioritised players who were not yet world-class at the time of signing, but who possessed the potential to become so. Cole Palmer and Moises Caicedo are the clearest examples of how this approach can work. Neither arrived as a finished product, yet both have developed into players who would be coveted by almost any elite club in Europe. This model has brought Chelsea some success. The squad, on paper, is strong enough to compete near the top end of the Premier League. There is depth, athleticism, and technical quality across multiple positions. However, there is also a growing sense that something is missing. While Chelsea have lifted the Club World Cup and the Europa Conference League, trophies of far greater prestige remain the true targets. Competing consistently for the Premier League and Champions League requires not just potential, but proven excellence. Against this backdrop, reports of a staggering £130 million bid for a world-class forward have caused shockwaves. Initially, attention was drawn to Morgan Rogers, a player of undeniable quality whose profile would fit neatly into Chelsea's existing structure. Rogers is talented, versatile, and capable of operating alongside Cole Palmer with the right tactical adjustments. However, moving Palmer away from central areas would inevitably dull his influence, and any such tweak would require careful consideration. What has truly ignited debate, however, are claims that Chelsea have gone far beyond that profile. According to reports emerging from Spain, the club have made a sensational £131 million offer for Vinicius Jr. If true, this would represent a dramatic departure from Chelsea's recent recruitment philosophy. Vinicius is not a developmental project. He is a global superstar, a Ballon d'Or contender, and one of the most decisive attacking players in world football. The numbers attached to Vinicius tell their own story. Over 200 goals and assists at the highest level, Champions League-defining performances, and a reputation as one of the most feared wide forwards in the game. He is the type of player Chelsea have consciously avoided pursuing in recent years, not because of a lack of admiration, but because of the financial and structural implications such a signing would bring. The idea of Vinicius at Stamford Bridge is intoxicating. He would instantly become the face of the project, elevate the team's attacking threat, and send a message to rivals that Chelsea are willing to re-enter the market for true superstars. Yet this is precisely where the tension lies. Chelsea's owners have been explicit about moving away from massive wages and Galactico-style deals that can distort dressing room harmony and long-term planning. Fabrizio Romano's comments on the matter have been particularly revealing. Speaking previously about links between Chelsea and Real Madrid stars, Romano made it clear that the club's direction does not currently align with players like Vinicius or Rodrigo. His explanation was not rooted in doubts about quality. On the contrary, he described both players as fantastic. The issue, he explained, was strategic. Chelsea, Romano said, are focused on building around players like Estevao, Cole Palmer, and other carefully selected talents who combine immediate impact with long-term value. The salaries, transfer fees, and commercial weight attached to players of Vinicius' stature run counter to that vision. Bringing in such a figure would not just be a footballing decision, but a cultural and financial one, potentially altering the balance Chelsea have worked hard to establish. This is why reports of a £131 million bid feel so jarring. They suggest either a dramatic shift in policy or a targeted exception to the rule. If Chelsea truly believe they are one elite attacker away from bridging the gap to the very top, then breaking their own mould for a player like Vinicius could be justified internally. He is not simply another expensive signing. He is a proven match winner on the biggest stages. At the same time, the timing of these reports is... Liam Rosenior's expected arrival at Chelsea represents far more than a routine managerial appointment. It marks the latest and potentially most significant step in the club's ongoing attempt to rebuild stability, identity, and long-term coherence after years defined by turbulence and constant change. As the 41-year-old arrived in London to finalise his move to Stamford Bridge, the sense around the club was not one of drama or spectacle, but of quiet inevitability. This was a process that had been moving steadily behind the scenes, shaped by internal conviction rather than external noise. Chelsea's decision to move for Rosenior has been months in the making, rooted in the club's ownership structure, footballing philosophy, and growing belief that the next phase must be built around continuity rather than constant reinvention. With Enzo Marresca's departure leaving the club once again in transition, the hierarchy acted quickly to identify a coach who aligned with their long-term vision. Rosenior emerged not as a compromise option, but as a deliberate choice. His presence in London signals that the final steps of the process are now underway. Formalities remain, interviews will be completed, and legal details resolved, but within Chelsea there is a strong expectation that Rosenior will soon be confirmed as the club's new permanent head coach. The belief is that this appointment will provide a sense of direction that has often been missing, particularly during moments of pressure. Rosenior's departure from Strasbourg is central to the story. Appointed at the start of the 2024-25 campaign, he quickly earned admiration within the Blue Co ownership group for his calm authority, clear tactical ideas, and ability to develop players without sacrificing competitiveness. Strasbourg's performances under his leadership reflected structure, bravery in possession, and a collective understanding of roles. For Chelsea's owners, who also oversee Strasbourg, this offered a unique opportunity to observe his work at close range. The French club's preparations for life after Rosenior underline how advanced the situation has become. Strasbourg are already in the final stages of identifying his replacement, with Gary O'Neill emerging as a strong contender. That process would not be unfolding at this pace without confidence that Rosenior's move to Chelsea is imminent. The fact that the list of candidates has already been narrowed reflects a club resigned to losing its head coach, even if the official announcement has yet to be made. From Chelsea's perspective, Rosenior's appeal lies in several interconnected factors. His footballing philosophy shares similarities with the approach Marresca attempted to implement, meaning the squad will not be required to undergo